Hi, everyone. I'm Denise O'Malley. I'm the founder of You Define Wellness, and welcome to another in our series of This Is My Story. So if you've been following along, you know that what we're doing is we are sharing the personal stories of some of the You Define Wellness network providers. These are people who are so passionate about what they're doing, and you know what? They walked in your shoes. They had to find their way so many times, and hearing somebody else's story can give you clues and ideas and as to what you can do and can resonate with you. So today I am delighted to introduce to you Mary Dravis Parrish. Mary, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Denise. It's always fun to be with you and to converse and share with people different possibilities for living a better and greater life.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear your story. I know some of your story, and so I'm really excited to dive in a little bit deeper on this. But let's set the stage first so that people know what it is that you do, because I know it led to it.
Yeah, absolutely. My work is about empowerment. It's about empowering people to step into a life that maybe they never even thought was possible, but especially in the role of parenting. And recognizing that as parents, we have a whole different way that we can communicate and raise our kids to be empowered to be who they are, to grow up, to really honor those gifts, those talents, those capacities that we have that are often outside of the box of what maybe we grew up in. And so this place where there's an invitation to actually have the permission to explore different ways of being yourself, and then how you be with your kids in ways that really truly allow us to come together and care about one another in a greater way than this world has ever really experienced before. And I think that really starts, I believe that starts at the family level.
Okay. So that leads in very well to how you got to where you are. So what is your story?
Well, my story starts with my family, and I came from a large family, very, a Catholic family growing up with 7 siblings and my parents. And while this isn't about making my parents right or wrong or anything, it's about recognizing how I fit in this family and what I took away from it that formed me in my years of who I was or who I believed I was. And so I'm just going to fast forward to 17 years old, not really sure what I want to do with my life.
Yes. Common, very common.
What do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, I don't know. Am I even grown up yet?
And adulthood is right there and it's looming on you. Yes.
Right. So, so I turned up pregnant, and knowing that I most likely was going to have a family, it was part of my future plans to get married, have kids, like that's the normal thing you do. I don't know that I even expected that it could be any different. Yeah. So I turned up pregnant and, got married, did the right thing. Didn't really understand. I mean, who knows anything about relationships at that age? But anyway, so what I know now about that was that whole experience led me to carry a lot of shame. Yeah. It was shameful to show up pregnant back then. It was something that I know that especially my mother really struggled with. And I carried that shame forward and tried to do my best to prove that I didn't need to have that shame, but yet there it was. And then along came, that marriage ended.
Okay, so I'm going to stop for just a quick second. I want to ask you a question about that period of time, because you're very young, you're very vulnerable. You've got this shame going on. You've got your mom's own fears about what is happening. Did you have a good support network around you, or were you having to find your own way at that point?
No. So the man that I married at the time, my son's father, was in the service. And so I left home to be with him, traveled across the country, had never been away from home. Wow. did that all on my own. Not that my family wasn't supportive but they just weren't present right then. And so forging ahead, trying to do everything like the right way, following the model of all what my parents did. This is what you do. This is how you bring your kids up. Go to church, go to, get a job, do everything, as best I could.
Yeah.
But in all of that, just what was really driving me was just this need to prove myself that I could do it the right way.
Yeah.
Even though trying to make a marriage work that wasn't working was really like, it was killing me. I needed to step out and say, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
And so I did, and that marriage ended. But yet again, I felt this shame of being a divorced person, and now I'm a single mom. And again, I felt like, I really failed there. I couldn't hold that together. I couldn't make that work. And because I hadn't grown up in anything like that before. And that was added to more of my shame.
So you didn't recognize the courage that it took to walk away from that marriage?
No, I wanted to. I felt at first, but then it was like it was all deflated when all this other was like put on me. That, you made your bed, now you got to lie in it. Those types of things, right? And that was really, well, okay, I'll just go on. And so along comes husband number 2, because we got to make this work, right? Yeah. I got to show I can do this. And so I set forth in, okay, so we want to have a child together, and what does that look like? And so I'll work, but then I'll stop working because I want to be an at-home mom. I want to do all the right things for my child. And so in comes son number 2. And unbeknownst to me at the time was also all this pressure for him to be perfect. Like, we're going to do this all right now, and I'm going to do everything right by you. And so, my expectation was that he would then deliver based on what I was giving.
It doesn't work that way, does it?
Well, no, it really doesn't. And that was the lesson I learned, was it doesn't really work that way. And son number 2, Ben, really struggled with perfectionism and trying to feel like he was accepted, and that he could never feel like he measured up to his own standards. And probably these was things that I put on him. Yeah. And, what's come to me lately too is the emotional pain that we carry. Like, everybody has emotional pain.
Right.
But for so many, we don't know how to deal with it. We don't know how to be with it. We don't know how to release it. We don't know what to do with it. I didn't become aware of all that.
It's not a class you're taught in school.
No, or that your parents even tell you. They say, toughen up, stop crying, do the right thing, all that stuff. And so it gets buried. And when we don't know how to deal with it ourselves, we don't know how to help our children with it.
Yeah.
And that was what I watched Ben going through, was this dark depression, this withdrawal from life, this boy who was loved by everyone, who had so much going for him, and yet inside never felt worthy, to the ultimate level of, it came to the point where he took his own life.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
And for me, that was the catalyst of tearing everything apart and then picking up piece by piece, and knowing that if I don't do something different here, I will not survive this. Yeah. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this unless I can find a way to do it different. Mm-hmm. And that has been the gift in all of this, is that I have been able to find me in all of this. I've been able to stop doing the things to make myself try to fit in with everyone else, or to be right, or to do the normal thing, or to fit in the box when the box doesn't work for me. And
what was that first? Okay, the first step was the realization, but what was the step beyond that?
I had to ask myself some really deep questions, like, what is it I really want? Because I had no idea what I wanted. I didn't know how to choose for myself. I did all that stuff based on what other people, what was expected. And so the first step was really, what do I want?
Yeah.
And what showed up was this thing called joy. Like, what is joy? Like, I don't know. I know the whole grief and everything that happened with my son. Of course, there was not really joy in that. But
No.
even when I look back beyond, to my past, it was like, where did I ever really have joy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that. I don't know that. That's a foreign concept. Not that I didn't ever have some happy times or things like that, but that real joy that comes from inside, and recognizing that it has to come from there, not that I can count on somebody outside of me to do it or give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the work that I had to begin to do, is where do I get the joy?
Wow. So that it's pivotal. I'm learning as I'm doing these series that there are so many commonalities, and that word joy has come up a couple times, and that people didn't know what it was. And I was there too. And I frequently will go back there sometimes too. So how do you find it? How did you find it?
I played with it.
Okay.
I learned this technique, and this is something I share with the clients I work with, but I learned this technique that when you ask a question, the universal intelligence, so whatever you call that for yourself, God or whatever that is, will deliver it to you. But you've got to be asking. You've got to be willing. You've got to be open to it. And so I would just put that out there, like, what would it take to have joy today? Where can I find what will ignite the joy within me? And I just began to be with that, and to open myself up to stop taking things for granted, and to step into bigger and greater possibilities. Like, it's not in this little box, maybe it's in this big box, or maybe it's in that tree over there. Like, what if I just looked at that tree and I allowed myself to receive more things from people, from nature, it was like opening me up to really be receiving. And the real pivotal part of that was that I had to receive joy through everything in my life. And that meant through the death of my son, which was the hardest struggle I probably ever went through. Yeah. But once I broke through that and I was allowed myself to receive the gift of it, and the joy of having him in my life, the joy of the experience that it's bringing me to now, it's just made the greatest difference in my life of how I can even be here today.
Wow. So it's been said, when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. So did you have people that suddenly cropped up in your life that had walked the walk or gave you any guidance whatsoever?
I was searching for people like that. And I actually found people who weren't like that. People who, I would look to other parents of, how did you survive this experience? Mm-hmm. And what they showed me was they just continued to disappear. Like, they just wallowed in it and became less and less, and was like, I don't want that. Mm-hmm. I got to have something different, because that won't work for me. Right. And I still had a child to raise. My oldest was grown, but my youngest, I still, how do I do this different for him? Like, I don't, I was kind of not trusting myself too well. Right. How I could parent even. So it had to be different. And so when I entered into some self-growth things that were more about asking the questions and letting go of my own self-judgment, like all the places where I judged myself, all the places where I made myself wrong, I just had to really do the work to release and let go of that stuff, because that doesn't create anything. And then I had to step into this great thing called gratitude.
One of my favorite words.
Yes. And when I started having gratitude, where I could be thankful for everything, again, the joy could come because there was just so much to receive.
Yeah. So was there a pivotal day that you remember thinking, wow, that's been a good day? Or was it just a gradual change within you?
Well, it was gradual, but I remember one morning, um, probably a few months after my son had died, and I remember waking up and thinking, the sun is shining, I'm alive, I feel better than I did yesterday. And I remember calling my mom and just saying, I feel happy today. I just want you to know, like, today is like a day I really feel good, because it hadn't been. And of course, I went in and out of that.
Sure.
And it's a very gradual thing to move into. Um, as I think any life transformation is, in whatever you're transforming into, you're in that cocoon for quite a while, and it's pretty uncomfortable. And then, it's a slow process getting those wings to come out, but inch by inch, you can begin to see that there's life.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the years following, so it's been 18 years since my son died. And even in the years, like even in the last couple years, I've seen so much growth in myself of really choosing life
Yeah.
and wanting it.
So how are you helping others with this path that you've walked?
Well, I remember after my son died, the main thing that was like, I don't want anybody else to ever go through this pain. And then I was like maybe a week later, and I saw other families going through the same pain. And while I'm always available for that, I also wanted parents to know, you don't have to live in a box. You don't have to live a way that's not true to who you are when you raise your kids. And your kids are really asking you to be you.
Yeah.
And a lot of the conflicts that we're having with our kids are based around our own stuff, the stuff that we try to make fit into our lives that really doesn't. Some of those beliefs about what it means to be a parent, and is that really working for you, and is it working for your kids? And coming to this place where you can be really totally different than your kid and still be an awesome parent, and they can grow up and be an awesome kid without the controls, without the dominance, without all that fear. I mean, so much parenting back in our day was fear-based, to get you to be controlled and to get you to fit in. And because our parents were afraid that if they didn't instill that, then you wouldn't survive.
Mm-hmm.
But these are different days, and there's support in being who you are, and inspiration and gifting and so much more that the world needs as we show up with the trueness that we truly be.
Yeah. So in your journey, did you find along the way, did you ever stop and say, "Oh, surely I can't be the only one who's ever gone through this before. How do I find my peeps?"
Um, so I think the way that I came into it really was, so I had been teaching kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved into doing some tutoring with kids on my own, and opening my own business and working with kids. And in that, connecting with parents who were struggling
Yeah.
with, so I taught kids mostly with special needs. So then I would have parents who were struggling with wanting their kids to be okay, or here, can you fix them? And as I saw more of that, it was like, this isn't about fixing your kid. This isn't about making them something different than who they are. This is about bringing you into a different awareness of who you are and who they are, that you can do this lovely dance together that will allow you to grow more into who you are and who they are. And so I really found a lot of the people that I worked with through that, and I decided I don't really like working with kids as much as I like working with parents, because I have that connection, because I get what it's like to be
Right.
a single parent, or I get what it's like to be struggling. I get what it's like to feel like you're a failure and you're carrying all this guilt or shame. I get all that, and I get where you're really afraid for their future. And yet there's so much more beyond that fear.
I guess where I'm going with the question that I had asked was really, let's look at the parents that you're helping right now. The relief that they must feel to know that I'm not alone, that there are resources out there to help me. I don't have to figure it out by myself, that I have tools. Because I know when we've gone in our own path, so many times we're struggling to try to find the answers because you don't know that they exist out there.
Right.
So sometimes we have to create them for ourselves. That's where I was going with it. So what types of things are you doing right now in your practice to help other parents?
So I am, first of all, I have a radio show. It's called BU Parenting, where every week I connect with parents on so many different topics that address, I think, and encompass all those different aspects of parenting. And it always was the focus of what's going on for you first. Because I really they call me the parent whisperer, but I'm really moving into that role of I am your advocate. But, I am also I will be that coach that will, get really intense with you if it's like you're not getting this in a way that it's vital for you.
Yeah.
So my first concern is for the parent and what's going on for them so that then they can be something different for their kids. Because I often find that when they just let go or tweak something that's not working for them, things just shift down the line and get easier even with their relationships. So I'm doing that. I do one-on-one coaching, whether it's I'm here in Colorado, you can either see me in person or you can chat with me online like we're doing here, which is lots of fun. I also have an online course that's going to be coming out, I'm hoping in the next month or two, so people can get some of these tools online, offering my services through You Define Wellness, and everywhere that I can be, I go and I speak to groups. So I just am really passionate about getting the possibility that if it's not working for you, that doesn't mean it's hopeless.
Yeah.
Or that, oh, this is just the way it is. I just have to settle for this. No settling. I was so tired of settling for things but I didn't have a sense that there was something greater. And I want to be that invitation for you. I want to be that enthusiasm for you to let you know that there is something greater out there for you if you're really having a tough time.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to talk to the camera because I'm talking to you, the audience, on this one. There are some that I run into that are like, I don't want to do a coach. I got to pay money for it. And, hey, a coach, no, you don't need a coach for life. You know what? Professional athletes have coaches, and you think they don't know their game? They do. So having someone who can give you that outside perspective to give you those tweaks of things that you don't know that you're doing so that you have the tools in place, so when things erupt and you're in the heat of emotions, you have a skill set you can bring in to not go back to your old patterns. And it's people like Mary that can help you with finding those, correct?
Yes. And the other thing about having a coach is you have a cheerleader.
Yes.
It comes in one big package. There's also somebody there to acknowledge what you're already doing. I get that so much with parents that they keep complaining, and then out of the other side of their mouth, they're like, but I do this. And I'm like, all right, let's focus on what that is. Look what you are doing, because you can be so hard on yourself. You don't even recognize what you are doing.
And, that's a great point. And thank you for making that, because we do need those cheerleaders, the people who want our success, that are invested in our success, not invested in our failures and making us worse and pointing out how horrible we are. It's taking the strengths and making them better.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So how can people get in touch with you, Mary?
My website is BU parenting.com. You can find me on Facebook at BU Parenting or Mary Dravis Parrish. You can email me at parentwhispers@gmail.com. All those different ways. So tune into the radios. If you listen to podcasts at all, Inspired Choices Network is the .com is the network, but it's on every podcast you can think of. So Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. Oh my gosh, I don't even know all of them, but BU Parenting, and tune in and you get a great flavor for me. I have a book. Empowered Parents, Empowering Kids. You can download the first 3 chapters off my website, get a flavor for that, discover what your own parenting style is. Yeah, lots of great stuff.
There's one other way that you can find her is if you go to youdefinewellness.com. That's YOU definewellness.com, and look at our healthy living videos library that we have on our main page on our website. We have more than 100 videos that are fantastic from the You Define Wellness Network providers, where I've either had a conversation like this with them, or perhaps they did a presentation, but it's all this information on things that you're not going to find anywhere else. That we're talking about energy healing and fitness and nutrition, and side by side with psychics, as a matter of fact. So there's all kinds of things there. Go check it out. And one things that you'll find is that Mary has several videos on there as well. So you can go read about, we did an interview on her book, and you can hear more about her business and how she helps people. So that being said, Mary, thank you very much for doing this with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Denise.
And all of you, thank you for watching. We hope to see you on another recording.